Well, hello everybody, and now we're going to just take a little look together at this Scrabble set that I designed and printed, and just see what else we could figure out before I make any changes or make any decisions before making the next print, because there are definitely a few decisions that I have to make in the design and or the parameter settings to make sure that it doesn't warp again. So let's go back. Also, I juggle a lot of different things. So if I was being very diligent, I would have a better log setup. I actually do have a log. I keep a spreadsheet. Actually, I could just um, let me open that up real quickly. Uh, so I'm fairly good about tracking what I print and, keeping a log of things like, well, basically just all the parameters, the infill settings, um, the shell settings, the nozzle settings, the temperature, the bed temperature, the hot end temperature. Um, let's get this open here. Here's one of the older logs. Just open that one because it has more information to show you. Let me take this cue off of my head. Um, so it also even has a simple equation to give me an estimate of how much the part costs to print after I print it, because it's basically just a simple calculation of the amount of plastic versus the price paid for the plastic. So um, I I do keep logs, but sometimes I go back and fill information in. Sometimes I miss the information. Like recently, this project, I didn't write down all the information because I've got so much other stuff going on. But I did save the file, and I opened that up here. That's what you see in front of you. So we can see the settings because I didn't just save the G-code file. I saved the actual um, the settings, the what do you call it, the slicer file. I'm using Bamboo Slicer because I'm printing on a Bamboo printer right now. So you can see here uh, the infill setting was set to 15% and with a grid pattern. And if I remember correctly, when I did the first test piece, actually I used a higher infill setting. So I'm going to go back and check. I didn't save that as a slicer file though. But hopefully the G code should provide us with enough information, because basically we can compare it visually. So for example, let's go to preview, and it's going to reslice it. And then we'll take a look at what the layers look like at 15%. Any moment now. Any moment. Okay. So that's what the grid pattern looks like at 15%. Okay. So now let's clear the plate. Oh, go back to prepare. All right. Select all. All right, clear that plate. And let me go to my USB drive here and find a scrab test.gcode. I believe that's the one. Let's drag that over. Oh, no, this is... Okay. Well, this will provide us some clues anyway, too. So let's see. This is not mine. This was the model that I printed from Thingiverse. And you can see the G-code also has this pause saved in here because that's where I switched the filament over. So let's bring it down. Okay, so this was also printed at 15%. But also, 15% might be okay for this design because this design is different. It doesn't have the bevel. So now let's open up. Let me find the one that I did. It should be test a bevel tile. That's it. All right. Let's clear the plate. Oh, I forgot to go back to prepare. Yes. Okay. All right. The settings were also 15%. Now let's just take a look anyway. It should look the same because it's 15%. Okay. So everything was always done with 15%, which leads me to believe that well, actually, increasing the infill pattern still might help because if the issue is that printing so many gives it too much time to cool down, then increasing the infill pattern could still help because it'll give those parts more strength to resist curling up and contracting. So I think I'm going to try that anyway, or increase the shell settings. So I'm going to think about that a little bit, and also let's just open up FreeCAD for a moment, and I will show you just one of the files. I'll open up one of the letters. Let's open up letter P that I was working on. So I will decide whether I'm going to leave the bold letters bold and make the letters that were much more fine, like this Q. I got to decide if I'm going to switch the letters over to all match the bold letters or match the fine print style. So, but yeah, this one I had set for 1.8 millimeter thickness. Maybe I could find a, maybe I can meet it in the middle. Make the thinner ones a little thicker and the thicker ones a little thinner. All right, we'll see. Well, that's it. I believe that's everything. So see you next time. Thanks for watching.